Hello, I'm Fast Lawyer. Today we are going to review Gunsight VR, an Oculus Rift, Gear VR, and Oculus Go exclusive released on December 5th, 2016 by developer Climax Studios. Unfortunately, this game has now been delisted from the Oculus Store site. It was retailing for $2. I want to say that this game retailed for a lot more when it first released. I bought this game on a sale on both the Oculus Go and Oculus Rift store sites for just 99 cents. I tested this game out on the Oculus Quest 2 using the Oculus Link cable, using both touch controllers and also Xbox One gamepad. Gunsight VR is a 3D action arcade scrolling shooter designed exclusively for VR. There is a story campaign along with an extraction mode and a survival game mode. The extraction mode is basically rushing towards the end of the level as fast as you can, and if you get under the time limit you basically pass the level. The survival mode is basically the wave shooter mode, where basically if you survive all the waves you pass the level. The campaign mode has 5 worlds, and for each of those worlds there are 3 levels except for the last world, and the last world is Earth, and basically you just face the final boss of the game. I want to estimate it took me approximately 90 minutes to complete the campaign mode, although once you beat the game you do unlock the hardcore mode, so you can do it again just with harder enemies. My initial impression of playing Gunsight was, wow, this is a really good game, one of the best games at 99 cents. It's a lot of fun at first, and this game does have a lot of fun game mechanics, but the longer that you play this game you start seeing how paper thin the game is and how the game is really closer to a demo than anything else. By the end of the game I felt nothing but disappointed at the missed potential of this game. Gunsight VR is running on the Unity engine. On my RTX 3080 I was getting steady 90 frames per second. I did not experience any serious issues or bugs. Gameplay was pretty smooth and polished for the most part. Where this game failed though is the lack of depth behind it. Pretty much you're led early on to believe that you have this really good warrior with all these different weapons and all these upgrades that you supposedly have, but as you keep playing along you see that what you were shown early on is pretty much all that you will have for the rest of the game. In fact, you will face the same boss fight over and over again until the very end of the game. Yes, it's not until the end that you finally see a different boss fight, and that really makes this game feel very repetitive, more than it actually is in fact. Now, part of the problem is the controls. Unfortunately, in this game there's not very many options available in the settings besides sound, language, and controls, and the options in the control is basically between either head gaze based aiming or touch controller aiming, or a combination of both. In my opinion, the best solution for the controls is to use a gamepad and stick to head gaze based aiming only. I normally hate head gaze based aiming, but in this case it's just clearly the best aiming method, or use the hybrid, but in any event trying to aim with only touch controllers is very difficult, as you have 2 separate weapon systems and you'll have to aim separately with both of them. And unfortunately the AI for these enemies is just not very good. Once you learn their scripted movements they become pretty easy to take down, and it just becomes a matter of prioritizing which enemies to shoot first and when to use your primary shooting and when to use your secondary, and then it's just a matter of dodging when appropriate to avoid damage. There are destructible environments, and at first it seems pretty cool, but once you go deeper into the game it just seems pretty mundane, and unfortunately nothing interesting is ever done with it other than opening a new path that's pretty obvious once you get into the specific area. And the level design here is very bland, very forgettable. About the only thing that really stood out to me was the Arctic level. Even the wind level didn't really stand out to me because it was a mechanic that was poorly implemented. Now, I did like the cel shaded art style. It's very colorful and bright and nice to look at, but the level design themselves are pretty bland and forgettable. And I think the soundtrack was good. The sounds overall were just mediocre. So overall you end up with very bland looking levels with enemies that aren't very dynamic, with temporary weapon upgrades that are very meaningless, and boss fights that are recycled. And there's just not enough content here. I was finishing levels in about 5 minutes, and that just wasn't long enough. The experience ends up feeling like you just played a demo, except that it has recycled boss fights, and it just leaves a sour taste in your mouth once you beat the game on normal difficulty. And I have no desire to try the game again with the unlocked hardcore mode that is now available. The saving grace for this game is that it was only $2, at least for a while. You cannot buy it anymore, so I guess there is no reason to score this game. I'll just say that overall I was disappointed with the game after initially having a very good impression of the game. Anyways, I'm Fast Lawyer. This has been my review of Gunsight VR. When I actually started this review, the game was still listed for sale for $2 on the Oculus store, but I delayed in finishing the review and now it's been delisted. That's just my luck, I guess. Anyways, I hope you enjoyed the review and I hope you have a wonderful day.
Down. Lock and load. I have a little surprise for you.